it's a new field anyway, right? So I think Vivan says we are going live on social, so we can start off. Vivan, let me know as soon as we are live and I'll start the session. I'm new in Web3 and I'm confused about basics all about Web3. Yeah, sure, Akash, don't worry. These are some of the things that we are going to talk about. Okay, so welcome everyone. And today what we're going to talk about are Web3 tech careers, what all you need to know. I hope on my screen you can see Web3 tech careers written there in a black kind of a background. So what we're going to talk about today are three kinds of careers. So one is called a smart contract developer. The other one is called a Web3 full stack developer. Then there is Web3 front end developer. And finally, we're going to talk about an action plan. What is it that you should be doing? Now, when we look at the first one, that's a smart contract developer, the salaries are pretty good. So if you get a remote role, which would be ideal if you're not in the US, for example, because as you can see, the salaries are really high in North and South America, but then they drop quite a bit in other places. So remote is one of the best opportunities. You actually get more money. Now, in that, what you've got to understand is what are the kind of skills that you need. So while some of the basic skills I've mentioned here is like where you need to know how to develop on Ethereum and other EVM compatible chains. And you also need to be able to obviously deploy smart contracts. So Mukesh, remote means you can work from home. So you may be sitting in India, but you will work for an American job. So that's what we mean by remote. You don't have to physically be present in that country. Now, what you've got to understand is other than the basic tools as a smart contract developer, there are certain other skills that you need. So one is you should understand this whole system of system performance and scaling. Then advanced knowledge of Git and GitHub, strong mathematical and modeling skills. I mean economics modeling, not fashion modeling, obviously, and an understanding of the technical architecture of complex DeFi protocols. So what you've got to remember, a lot of people, what they feel is that blockchain technology or Web3 technology is one thing, and DeFi is something totally different. And you don't need to know DeFi if you're working in the tech, but that's not true. What you have to understand ultimately is whatever you build as in smart contracts, they are going to finally be used for DeFi or decentralized finance. So you actually need to understand how these different protocols work. So whether we talk about yield aggregation or we talk about decentralized exchanges, you need to understand how the tech is really built to run those 15, 20 different kinds of protocols. So always just keep that in mind. And you also need to realize one thing, that your degree does play a role here. So like a lot of people ask me that suppose I don't have a tech degree, I'm not from an engineering background, can I still make a career in this? Now you can still make a career in Web3 tech. It's just going to be much more difficult for you. Because try to understand like this. If a startup or a large company is hiring and they have an option of taking people with your kind of skill set, but having a degree in maths or computer science or software engineering versus not having, obviously they would take someone who has it. So you either need to have a good degree or then you need to have work experience which can compensate for it. So if you can show them that, okay, you may not have the degree, but you've got more work ex and you've actually worked on good projects, then that degree part would not create a problem for you. Now, I'd like to give you my own example. By qualification, I am a commerce law graduate, but see, I come from a very different time, right? So I did my graduation somewhere in the 1990s, early 90s. So at that time, in my city at least, we didn't even have a degree course in computer science. Computers were really new at that time in our country. So for me, it didn't create much of a problem. But today, you should have a background in tech. Any questions so far? I hope everything's clear. Could you just give me a yes, no? If it's all clear, just give me a yes. Awesome. Perfect. Knowledge of Rust, Go, C++ definitely helps. Experience with Node.js and related platforms definitely helps. Knowing API development, mobile app development, all those things are add-ons. So like I said, I've shared the URL with you guys. I'll just share it again quickly. So later you can obviously go through it. And this is what I wanted to talk about, the smart contract developer's role. Any specific questions on that? Someone asked about mechanical background. No, unfortunately, that won't really help. So if it is tech background, ideally it should be maths, computer science, or software engineering, that kind of stuff, not anything else. Like for example, even a An electronics background would really help you here. Any other questions on this before I go on to the next one, which is full stack? Okay. Now let's go on to the full stack developer. Now in full stack developer, as we can see, the salaries are a little lesser. Goli, your question is deep knowledge on JavaScript. Yeah, it will help, definitely. See, JavaScript is probably one of the most important frameworks today in the Web3 industry. So definitely that would help. And if you have strong background and experience in it, it could actually help you compensate even if you don't have a tech degree in that. How to get good experience in these things? Yeah, that's a good question, Prakash. So that's where either internships, actually that's where internships come in. And I'm going to talk about that later about how to take an internship. I'll come to that very soon. Gagan says, I've got 15 years of experience, Node.js. Yeah, that would be a very good thing to help you. See, this particular experience may not help you so much in the smart contract developer role, but it'll help you more in the full stack developer, which I'm going to speak about right now. Mechanical engineering background, like I said, the mechanical engineering won't help you much, but your other 15 years background in Node.js and PHP and other things, that's definitely going to be a big plus point. See, now when we talk about Web3, you will notice the salaries are lower. The highest is in smart contract developer, lower is for full stack. I know it's strange, but then that's just the way it is. So here we can see the remote is about 109, whereas in smart contract developer it was about 150. And then again, North America as usual leads the most in terms of salaries. Now here when we're talking about full stack, what you've got to remember is the requirements are much more, where you are expected to know a lot of things. So whether it is the front end part, whether it is the blockchain part, whether it is back end part, it is data storage, cloud computing, the requirements are actually much higher. Of course, there are more jobs available in full stack developer, but the salary is a little lower, but the requirements are pretty steep. So it's not just, knowing all the major blockchains, whether it's Ethereum, BNB, Avalanche and all that. It is also knowing about the API libraries like Ether.js, Web3 and all the other than that. Languages like Solidity, definitely. Decentralized sources of storage like IPFS, Arweave, all that also becomes very important. And then of course you've got a lot of front end and other programming languages that you should be good at. Just remember another thing here, your knowledge of cloud computing also becomes pretty important. So here it's usually you'll find in these job postings people either want AWS, Azure or Google Cloud. So personally, like I'm a big fan of DigitalOcean, but when we look at enterprise level, even though DigitalOcean is really good, the requirements are usually for AWS mostly. So just make sure you know that pretty well. And then of course you also need to understand a little bit about security auditing tools. Any questions on this? Okay. Knowledge in Tirumali says, I have a knowledge in Python, Java, JavaScript. Is this enough to? So Tirumali, what you've got to understand is that's part of what you need to know. So that's why here I mentioned to you, one is you need to know these languages, but then over and above that, depending upon the role you're going for, you need to pick up a lot of additional skills. So as you can see, the whole skills which are mentioned here, that's for the full stack developer. So you're going to have to build all these skills. Prakash says he's from mech background, knows Rust, blah, blah, blah. Most of the things you mentioned does my. So like I said, no, then you can offset your mechanical background, but ideally there should be work experience. So if you go as an absolute fresher, it may not be so good for you. But if you've got some internships where you actually done practical full stack development, then definitely it would be a huge plus for you. Akash says web development and Web3 is different. Yes, actually it's very different. Honestly, Web3 is a very confusing word. Most people think that Web3 means web. No. So what we really mean by Web3 is like an umbrella term which covers blockchain technology, decentralized storage, and then a whole bunch of conventional technologies for front-end and back-end and databases. All that put together is what we mean by Web3. So it's a much wider term. Don't confuse it with web development. Just that's a whole different world. So Web 2 and Web 3 are very, very different from each other because of the logic of decentralization. So everywhere in Web 3, we try to do decentralization. Our use cases are DeFi. Our data storage is decentralized. Our blockchains and other things that we use all become decentralized. Dinesh says Web 3 is ownership. So the ownership part honestly is not important, and I'll be very honest with you. Just imagine somebody sets up a social media platform and they say that everybody owns their own data. Well, then the question is, who is going to store the data? Are you as an individual going to pay to store your own data? No. It is ultimately going to be the platform, which is going to be a decentralized storage platform. Could be like, if you look here on my screen, IPFS, Interplanetary File System, or Arweave. They're not free. We have to pay. So either you are going to pay or the platform is going to pay. And if the platform pays, then obviously the platform owns that data. So from that point of view, things are a little different from what we usually hear in the media. Maruti's question is, in banking sector, is blockchain useful? Yes. So decentralized finance is the #1 application. And a lot of banks are now trying to adopt it. So for example, the project I work on is called Hybrid Finance Blockchain, which is DeFi for the banking sector and for the centralized sector. So yes, banking is the #1 sector. Prakash says, before this session ends, please talk about how to get. Yes, I'm going to talk about that. Prakash, don't worry. Maruti says, kindly tell me one scenario. I presume you're talking about banking in the blockchain world. So I would say one of the best application is payments. So when we talk about payments in India, we have UPI and other things which are phenomenal, but hardly any other country in the world has it. And especially when we talk about cross-border payments from one country to another, it's very, very slow and costly. So a lot of the banks are now beginning to use very interesting technologies like blockchain for cross-border payments. So that would be probably one of the best examples of using Web3 in the banking sector. Hope that's clear, Maruti. Any other questions? You guys can keep posting. And then, of course, we come to the front-end developer. So that's the third kind of option. Salaries are definitely lower here in front-end development. Now, what a front-end developer basically does is you're going to create the user experiences and the user interfaces. So you also need to maintain the organization's UI components across different projects, and you're going to do a lot of, you're going to work with, if you look at point 3 here, work with databases, servers, microservices, APIs, and you're going to integrate a lot of this into the core environment. Now, what you've got to remember here is the requirements are not that deep from a tech point of view. So you need proficiency in JavaScript, web technologies like HTTP, HTTPS, DNS, definitely React and all would help you here. Here, point number 2 is very, very important. You should have some experience in developing and maintaining production applications. So this is where it's important that, if you just download softwares and run them and you create something, that's not a live production application. That's just a testing application. The whole world changes when your application goes into production and tons of users use it. So you need to have some kind of experience there. And then, of course, Docker, Jira, Agile development would be a very important thing for you. And here, front-end means you also need to understand technical SEO and A/B testing. So that's the kind of skills that you need to have for that. Let me take some of your questions. ECE degree helpful or not? So when you say ECE, Prakash, you mean electronics, or is there something more to it? So can you just, Palash, I think, can you just tell me what ECE exactly means? Mohammed says, I have 6 months of experience in web development and now I want to switch my domain to blockchain, but I didn't get any opportunity. Everywhere they ask for 2+ years experience. So don't worry, right now I'm going to talk about where all you can actually go and look for these kind of opportunities. Just give me a few more minutes. Mohammed says he's good with front end like HTML and all. Please tell me how. Yeah. So Mohammed, what you're going to have to do is you have to identify out of these 3 areas that I've spoken about, which is the one that you're more interested in. And then you would need to develop the skills, get some practical experience through internships, and then you'd be in a position to get that. So one thing that I want all of you guys to understand is, usually when we study or we learn anything, it's very theoretical. Now onwards, I don't want you to do that. I want you to always learn based on skills which are required by the industry. So what I have done to make this document, which you are looking at right now, I have gone through hundreds of job posts. So in fact, let me give you an example of what I find one of the best sites. Just let me share that with you. Give me a second. Are you guys able to see something called Web3 is, and lots of things are scrolling, or rather you can see this browse 24,242 jobs. Yeah, so this I found as one of the best websites. It's called web3.career. right? I'm putting that in the, yeah, Sumit, thanks for putting the URL. I've also put it there. I want you guys to have a look at this, because what this site gives us is hundreds of jobs which have been posted, right? And most of these are paid posts. So that means startups have actually paid money to post it here. So they're kind of serious about what they're looking for. You will find a lot of tags here. For some reason right now it's not showing. Let me just, yeah. So now you can see a bunch of tags here. Are you guys able to see it here? There's a lot of, like, there's a tag called analyst and backend and blockchain. I hope you guys can see that, right? So when you click on these, so like for example, if somebody wants to know jobs relating to JavaScript, so there's a tab for it. Just click on that. Now, once you click on that, it is going to show you a lot of jobs where JavaScript is one of the core skills required. So when you look at all these skills, so there is mobile, there's marketing, there's moderator, there's NFT, you name it, you will actually get to see what the industry wants. And there are hundreds of jobs. In fact, they have a very nice mailing list. So if you sign up every day, you are going to get 15-20 jobs. Like in fact, just today, I think the Ethereum Foundation also put out a job on this site. So the Ethereum Foundation is also looking at a very senior post, and they use this site to hire a lot of people. So I want all of you to go through this site and look at the different opportunities available. In my article, I have segregated 3, which I found as the most important job ops. But when you look at this site, you will get a lot of other options. So here you will be able to get most of your questions sorted out. And a lot of internships are also mentioned. So as you can see, I search for the word intern, and you can see there are 589 internships available, right? And many of these are like, this one is just posted 8 hours, 9 hours ago. So they're very fresh, they're very current. So this is one of the best place to get your internship opportunity. So somebody had a question specifically on internship. So please have a look at this site, it will really help you. And I'm putting the URL for the internship link also. So yeah, so that's the Web3 career internship jobs. Okay, so we says that I am from a pharma background and I want to learn Web3 and blockchain. I'll be very honest, it's not going to be easy for you, because pharma and tech very, very different from each other. So, I mean, one option is you can go through that article that I've written. Or second option is you could look at non-tech opportunities. So I think next week we have a session on that. And anyway, go through this site and you can maybe look at the other keywords. Core tech may be tough for you. I'm not saying you can't do it. It'll just be that you will have to spend a lot more time and effort to get in. A tech guy may find it much easier. You will have to just work a lot harder. Any questions? Prakash says electronics with computer networks. Yeah, of course, definitely that is. So even if computers was a minor as part of it, definitely it helps you. Yeah. Good crypto analysis, tokenomics. So Prakash, if you are actually having experience in tokenomics and all, then maybe DeFi analyst is a better opportunity for you. Next Friday, same time, I'm doing a session on that. But of course, I'm not saying you can't do the tech part, but maybe you'd like to check that out also. Let me just quickly go back to that post again. Give me a second. Okay. So now, before I go, let me give you an action plan that I want you guys to follow. So first step, before you even start to apply for jobs, is to attend online and offline meetups. I hope you can read that part on my screen. Step 1, can you just give me a yes if you can see step 1 written on your screen? Awesome. So the first step is you need to attend a lot of meetups, mentoring programs, whatever free events you can find, right? In your city, there must be so many of them. Online, there are so many of them. Attend as many as you can, because that's how you will begin to network. And whenever you meet someone, whether in online or offline event, immediately go and connect with them on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is going to be probably the most important social platform for you. Then the second thing that I want you to do is start posting high value, interesting content. So, everyone's on LinkedIn, right? Now, when you just simply go and apply to someone for a job, they don't even know who you are. But imagine if you are posting a lot of good stuff, teaching people, adding value, I would automatically start to realize, okay, this guy is special. He knows a lot more. He or she knows more. Chances of me hiring you become much higher, right? People will actually reach out to you with opportunities if they are impressed with what you do on LinkedIn. So I want you all guys to start regularly posting on LinkedIn. And whenever you're posting, just tag me. I'll come and like your post, share it. It gets shared in my networks also. So, but make sure it's high value and interesting stuff. Don't give me basics and don't write what is blockchain, what is this. That's outdated stuff. That's baby stuff. Start talking complex stuff. Like go deeper into decentralized storage, go deeper into, say, the Ethereum protocol. Put high value, interesting stuff. Uh, Sandeep says, I want to dive into blockchain and crypto stuff, but don't know where to start. Yes, Sandeep, I understand it's a very complex area and there's so much information available. So what I could recommend to you is, I do two programs, right? One is the tech one, which is called Blockchain Developer course. The other is a DeFi one, which is called DeFi Masterclass. Both are free. I would say start with those two. So it'll give you a very good grounding of the tech as well as of the DeFi part. And then you'll be in a position to take your career forward. Atul says, I'm learning blockchain development. I'm really new at that, but I'm being active in NFT and crypto sector as a user for 2 years. Can I still get any internships? Definitely you can. So like I said, go to that web3.career, that site, and enter in intern and you'll find a whole bunch of opportunities available. Pranav says, is React required for smart contract developer? Yes, that is one of the recommended skills that you should have. Don't worry, this particular URL, I'll just put it again for you. Just go through it after the session again. Nikhil has said to repeat the first 3 rows. So Nikhil, don't worry, I've put the link here. Just go through it, right? You'll be able to do that. Tushar says, which is the DeFi class? So Vivan, can you just put the link for that? If you could go to ravasnagpal.com. In Learn, there is something called DeFi Masterclass. If you could just put that URL here, it'll help me. Akash says, for Web3, do I have to start with web development? I just started with HTML. Yeah. So Akash, like I said, go through this post. All the skills required are there. So then take a decision based on that. Where can I get some problems to practice? You'll have to be a little more specific what you mean by that. Step 3, let me just read that out. Actively participate. So, you know, there are lots of crypto projects out there. That's where you're finally going to work. So whichever projects you like, Web3 projects, go to their Discord, Reddit, and Telegram and other channels and start networking with them. So they'll come to know who you are. And that's a very, very easy way of actually coming to know about the opportunities. I would say in that case, Discord and Reddit are probably your best ways of doing it. So whichever project you like, go to their platforms and start to, you know, add content there, add value there, make them feel that you're something special, and it's a very easy way to get connected with them. Step 4, of course, is get some internships. Now, when it comes to internships, I want you to remember something. Don't bother about the stipend. That is absolutely irrelevant. What is important is practical experience. So if someone gives you a good stipend and it's a very good brand name, but you get no practical experience, it's a waste of time. Your only interest in an internship has to be practical experience. How do you get to implement your knowledge on practical projects? That's the most important criteria. And finally, I made a whole bunch of sites here. I've listed them down. Go through them. I mean, I would say my favorite is web3.career, actually the first 3 or 4, but even the others are pretty good. So start going through them and you'll be able to find tons and tons of opportunities. If you're new right now, you may not even be able to apply for the job, but at least you'll understand what they want. And that's the best way to get it. Bharat's question is your coaching available in YouTube? Yes, Bharat. So all my videos that I do, they are available on my YouTube channel. So you can just go and look at them also. Started studying Solidity. Yes, Gokul Das, definitely Solidity is one of the most important skills to have in Web3. Then another question is about practical experience for Solidity. Yeah, so practical experience is what you are going to get in your internships. That's the reason I said internships become very critical here. Let me now just switch off the sharing. And okay, yeah, I hope you guys can now see me. So this was kind of the outline of what I wanted to talk to you guys about. Please go through that article in detail again and look at the action plan, and then you can start working on it. I mean, it's very simple to do. It's not so difficult. See, what you got to understand is, you know, a lot of people will say you will not get good paying jobs in India. I mean, I'm presuming that most of you right now listening to me are from India, but that's not true. You don't have to look for a job in India. You have to look for a job which is in a good project. They could be anywhere in the world. And nowadays, with everyone using Zoom and other things, you don't really physically need to be present all the time, right? project experience. No, see, for internships, experience is not so critical. Go through that link I said. There are hundreds of internships. I'm sure some of them are available to people who have done nothing before. See, that's the whole point of internships. It is to give freshers practical opportunity. Nitin said this is not related to today's session, but can you please explain on why ETH merge won't decrease the gas fee? Yeah, sure. So, you know what I'll do is just give me a second on the merge. So on the Ethereum side itself, actually they mentioned there's a separate side for merge. It's called ETH merge. One second, I'm putting the URL for you. So whoever asked for that, yeah. So Nitin, just look at this URL I've put. Right. So that's a website dedicated to the Ethereum merge. They will explain why it is not going to impact the gas fee. See, the gas fee will get reduced in a future upgrade. As you know, there are total 5 upgrades coming. So don't worry about that. Anyway, that's not relevant for today's session, so I won't go deeper into that. Mukesh says, with minimal skills, can we join the hackathon? So Vivan, here, if you could maybe help, or maybe, you know, it's already there on the site for Encrypt. Maybe you can connect to the experienced teams and be part of them. So that may be one way. So Vivan, if you can allow all these teams to network with each other. So maybe if there are some experienced developers, interns could also come with them and take part in the hackathon. Can you please mark this question? Can you suggest a place to practice programming languages? Yes, don't worry about it. I'll look it up and I'll update the article blog post that I've made. Oh, and Vivan says, yes, he will help you to join team. So even if you guys are new, you want to intern, get in touch with Vivan and his team, and they'll connect you to more experienced developers who are running their own teams. And like Vivan says, we are shortlisting will happen in a few days. Barbie's question is, how much salary can you ask as a fresher? That's a good question. So Barbie, what I said is, in this post, I've given the salaries. Sometimes it's for more experienced people. But again, if you go to web3.career, there you can go and look at fresher salaries also. And you'll be able to get. So give me a minute. Let me just share my screen on that. Right? Give me 1 second. I'll show you guys. Share. Okay. Okay, now you should be able to see Web3 internships. Can you see a drop down which says developer salaries and non-tech salaries? Can you see that? Can someone just give me a quick yes? Okay, so now when you go here and you click on this developer salaries, right? So here, as you scroll down, like for example, you can even see Rust developers, mobile developers, all those are there. But you can see here based on experience also. I hope you guys can see that clearly on the screen. So here, as you can see, this is the role, and then this is the average yearly salary, minimum and maximum here. So as a fresher, you would probably come under the junior developer. And then as you get more senior, you can go to architecture developer, CTO, senior developer, lead developer, and you can see. So for junior developer, it's about between $10,000 and $120,000. So it depends a lot on the role, but on an average, that's about $80,000. In the internships, I can't find anything related to Solidity. So what you can do is look at all the 6-7 sites that I've sent you. In that article, I mentioned 6-7. In each of them, there are sections for internships. You'll definitely get something for what you're looking for. So this, I hope, answers your question about for junior developers. So Bharvi, your question should be answered there. And I think I've put this link. Let me just put it again. So I put the salary page link also. So you can look it up based on location, based on seniority, based on subject matter. It's a huge detailed page. Dinesh says, I shifted from Java to Rust. Will it be helpful? Yes, definitely Rust is very helpful. Prakash says, I'm into this only place for future and past live stream, no for current. So currently live you are actually looking at. So later after the session is over, you can go and see the recording, I guess. we are in the early stage. Gokuldas says we are in the early stage. Yes, definitely, Gokuldas, we are in the extremely early stage. So I would say for Web 2, we are now maybe not in the early stage, but say in the mid stage. And Web 3, we are definitely in the very early stage, because what's happening right now is there are already about 20,000 plus projects in Web 3 which are live. So that's the number of cryptos also that you will find in the world. And so many more use cases are coming up regularly. So you are definitely in the early stage, but you've got to realize certain things. Please learn based on skills required by the startups. That's point number one that you should definitely be focusing on. And secondly, keep updating your knowledge. Every day there's new stuff happening, new tools coming out, new projects coming up. You need to keep yourself updated and follow the 5-step action plan that I've built for you. Rust and Golang are definitely very important, Prasant. A lot of the job roles require for it. So yeah, that's definitely a very important skill set to have. Any other questions? And like I said, next Friday, I'm doing a session on career opportunities in DeFi. And the Friday after that, I'll be doing the session on non-tech careers. So, the marketing, project management, content writing, those kind of careers also we are going to talk about. And usually I do a lot of these posts regularly on Instagram. So Vivan, if you could just share the link to my Instagram. So usually you'll see that I post very regularly carousel posts on Insta. So that will help you guys to get a lot of this knowledge. Can blockchain replace the mainframe financial? No. I don't think, Maruti, that's the direction it's going in. See, what blockchain is going to do is it is going to add value to a lot of the use cases. You cannot expect it to replace something like mainframes, right? Thirumalai's courses, there is a course for blockchain conducted by Upgrad with IIT Bangalore of so 1,60,000. So like I was saying, I'm not recommending to do courses of lakhs, because I'll tell you the reason. Everything that you need to know is available online for free. So I don't see the value that they will give you. Please learn the right skills. So go through that post, go through sites like web3.career, understand what you're applying for, look at the skills, and then get the knowledge. So you could get this knowledge for free. I am not in favor of such expensive courses. I mean, I don't think they add any value. See, especially in the tech field and Web3, there are thousands of people like me who put all sorts of content for free. So I think it's a waste of your money to go for such expensive courses. Vishesh says, is Rust better than JavaScript? I don't think we can compare the two. It's like apples and oranges. So I would say, no, I can't really compare them. Hopefully it's not the fake account. So Vivan has put a link. Yeah, it's Rohas Nagpal, so it's my account. Yeah, some people keep making fake accounts in my name on Instagram, and then they try to take money from people. So please don't fall for that. My name is simple, Rohas Nagpal. And because nobody else in the world has that name, all my social handles are exactly the same. Rohas Nagpal, there is nothing in the no underscore at the end or anything like that. So you'll be able to find my, it's about 7,000 odd followers. So that's the right account. What will Google does this question is, what will happen to this technology within 5 to 6 years from now? So Google does, I cannot obviously be very sure about what would happen. I mean, it's tough to predict, but I mean, I would say that it's a very good time, right? I mean, the way Web 2 is coming up, I think the next few years are going to be very, very good. But again, nobody can really make, I mean, you can't predict. I mean, prediction is very, very difficult. For all we know, we may have a brand new technology that may come together, which may break all encryptions of the world, and suddenly SSL is over. The day that happens, most online banking and all applications will shut down. Suppose quantum computing comes, that would completely change how things are done. So it's very difficult to predict. So as of right now, based on the developments that I'm seeing, I think it's an amazing time to get into Web3. But I wouldn't want to risk making any predictions. Right? Palace says, can you summarize the next step? So like I said, Palace, what I've done is I put this 5-step action plan. Just follow that action plan. So if you want, I'll just put the link for the action plan. Just give me a second. Right. So after you've done and gotten the skills, I put a link here. That's for something called the 5-step action plan. Well, that's what you need to follow. And getting a job shouldn't be difficult at all. Just make sure you have the right skill set, right, which matches what people are looking for. Dushan's question for viewers: I'm blockchain developer in Solidity. Would you like to form a team for Encrypt? Yeah, sure, Dushan, that's a good point. So Dushan has put his LinkedIn URL also, so you guys can connect with. Vivan, do we have a LinkedIn group for Encrypt, or can we ask people to just go to the Blockchain Bulls LinkedIn group and they can network with each other there? So Vivan, if you don't mind sharing the link to the Blockchain Bulls LinkedIn group, they can use that also. So Vivan will just share the link with you. So for Encrypt 2022, Blockchain Bulls and Creator are doing this together. So you can join the LinkedIn group and then you can, discuss with each other and build your teams up. Collaboration is very, very important. So since Web3 is all about decentralization, let's all build everything together. So I'm also going to be hiring a few interns, and getting an internship with me is fairly simple. I'll give a simple problem to solve. You just have to solve that and code it and send it to me as proof. So I'll put that up also very soon. But don't worry, there are lots and lots of people who are looking for interns. But just remember, don't start these internships till you have the right skill sets, because then you won't be able to gain anything. So whenever someone puts out, even for an internship, when they put the skill sets, make sure you have them, and then only you should apply. Any other questions? Yeah, thanks, Vivan. You have shared the LinkedIn group for Blockchain Bull, so you guys can click on it, join it, and then connect with each other and make your teams. Encrypt 2022 would be a very, very good way to get started. So I think it's, Vivan, when is the Encrypt 2022? Which month is it? I think you have a month or two to go. October, awesome. So you have the whole month of September. So very good. You could look at 15, 16. So you have about a month and a half. And you could look at all that, these things which are available, the tools and all which are available, and it could help you to make your career very fast. I'm also going to be doing a session very soon on the Web3 developer stack. I've posted that today only on some of the groups. I'll be doing a detailed session on that. So that will also help you to quickly understand what are the different kind of tools that you should be developing expertise on. Vicky says, can you please give the roadmap for Web3 for beginners? Yes, Vicky, that's what we have discussed today. So maybe you came in a little later. So I'm putting the URL, just go through it and you'll get your roadmap here. Yeah. So this is the thing that we've discussed today. I've given you the link, so you can just go through that. Are there any other questions you guys have? Okay, so good. It was very nice chatting with all of you guys. As you all know, I run the free blockchain developer course. Our classes are every Monday at 7 o'clock for the English batch and 8 o'clock for the Hindi one. Vishesh's question is, should I learn Rust or JavaScript? Well, if it's a choice between the two, I'd say JavaScript. But again, look for the skill sets for what you're applying. And if both are required, then definitely do both. But yeah, other than that, you could do this. So Maruti, if you want to join this, just go to my site, rohasnagpal.com. I'll give you the link to my course. Just give me 1 second. Yeah. Okay. So the link to the English version of the course I've put here. So when you go to this URL, you will also see all the earlier sessions videos are there. So you will be able to easily see that and then catch on with the rest of the class. And if you want to do the course in Hindi, I'm putting the link. So English, Hindi, both the links are here. So you can just join those up, and whatever you missed, you can always catch up on. And in fact, next Monday's class, we are going to do practical setting up your own blockchain. So you have time, you can attend that session. Okay, so great. Nice speaking to all of you. If you have any other questions, Instagram is the best place to go and post it, and I'll reply usually pretty fast. So see you guys. Bye-bye.